The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as James White walked toward the speaking platform. His footsteps echoed against the marble-like floor, drawing the attention of over 300 alien representatives. After spending 5 years studying human military doctrine, he knew his report would change everything. The chamber's design reflected the Council's power. A massive dome of transparent steel that showed the glittering stars above, curved walls filled with hovering screens, and seats arranged in perfect circles rising up like an ancient amphitheater. Each seat held a different species representative, their bodies ranging from crystalline structures to gas-filled containment suits. Honorable members of the Council, White began, his voice steady despite his racing heart. My report on human military capabilities will be brief, but its implications are profound. He touched the control panel, and a hologram appeared above the chamber center. The image showed Earth's orbital defense network. Several council members leaned forward, their various sensory organs focusing on the seemingly simple technology. White knew what they were thinking. The human defenses looked primitive compared to the massive energy shields and particle cannons used by other species. 5 years ago, you sent me to study how humans wage war, White continued. You wanted to know if they were ready to join our military alliance against the Darkspine Empire. What I discovered was... He paused, choosing his words carefully. Humans don't fight wars the way we do. They don't fight wars at all. Confused murmurs filled the chamber. A large insectoid being raised its front limb. Observer White, please clarify. Our records show humans have fought thousands of wars in their history. That's correct, Council member, White replied. But they learned from those wars. They evolved. Let me show you something from my first month on Earth. The hologram changed to show a military training exercise. The Council members watched as human soldiers moved through a combat zone. But instead of firing weapons, they deployed small devices that shut down all technology in their path. Notice what they're doing, White pointed out. No destruction. No battles. They simply remove their enemy's ability to fight. Another council member, a being made of pure energy, spoke up. This is a simple EMP weapon. Many species have them. White shook his head. No, what humans have created goes far beyond that. I witnessed them testing weapons that don't just disable technology. They erase it. They can target specific types of technology, specific networks, even specific types of knowledge from computer systems. They can send a civilization back to its Stone Age without firing a single traditional weapon. The chamber erupted in shocked discussions. White waited for them to quiet down before continuing. Humans learned that winning battles doesn't end wars, so they developed ways to end conflicts before they begin. They don't seek to defeat their enemies. They seek to remove their enemies' ability to be enemies. He displayed his final piece of evidence, a classified human military doctrine document. Their strategy is simple. If attacked, they will give one warning. After that, they don't destroy their enemy's ships or troops. They destroy their enemy's civilization's ability to make ships or support troops. The council president, a tall being with silver skin, stood up. These claims are extraordinary, Observer White. Are you suggesting humans possess technology that can selectively eliminate other technologies? Not just technology, President. They can target and eliminate specific types of knowledge from computer systems across entire star systems. They can make a spacefaring civilization forget how to build starships. The chamber fell silent again, but this time the silence carried weight. White could see the council members processing the implications. Warfare, as they knew it, was about battles, territory, and resources. But humans had developed something far more frightening: the ability to simply erase an enemy's capacity to wage war. I recommend, White concluded, that we carefully consider how we proceed with human integration into galactic society. They don't think like us. They don't fight like us. And most importantly, they've moved beyond the concept of winning wars to something far more absolute, making war impossible for their enemies. As White stepped down from the platform, He noticed many council members shifting uncomfortably in their seats. They had expected to hear about human battlefield tactics. Instead, they learned that humans had developed the ability to simply delete their enemy's civilization's progress. The real question now was, what would the Council do with this information? 3 months after White's report, the Darkspine Empire made their first move against humanity. Their massive warship, the Steel Fang, dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the human colony of New Eden. The ship was 5 miles long, its dark surface covered in weapon ports and energy projectors. Behind it, 50 smaller but equally deadly ships formed an attack fleet. Commander Stone of the Darkspine Empire stood on his bridge, his 4 arms crossed over his armored chest. Through the main view screen, he watched the small human colony spinning slowly below. New Eden was a young settlement, home to only 50,000 humans. Its defenses looked weak, a few orbital platforms, and a small planetary shield. "Send the standard surrender message," Stone ordered. His crew worked quickly, transmitting the Empire's demands in all known human languages. The message was simple: surrender the colony or face complete destruction. The response came exactly 3 minutes later. A human man appeared on their screen, wearing a simple blue uniform without any medals or rank markings. His expression was calm, almost bored. "This is Administrator Wilson of New Eden," the human said. "You have entered restricted space. You have exactly 24 hours to evacuate all civilian personnel from your ships. Any loss of life after that time will be your responsibility alone." Stone's bridge crew burst out laughing. Even Stone allowed himself a small smile. These humans were either brave or insane. His fleet could reduce their colony to ash in minutes. "Perhaps you misunderstand the situation," Stone replied. "We have enough firepower to destroy your colony 10 times over. Surrender now, and we will allow your people to leave with basic supplies. Resist, and we will make an example of New Eden." Wilson's expression didn't change. "You have 23 hours and 57 minutes remaining. We will not send another warning." The transmission cut off. Stone turned to his second-in-command. "Scan their defenses. I want to know everything they have." The scans showed exactly what they expected: minimal orbital defenses, a basic planetary shield, and no significant military presence. Stone ordered his fleet to move into attack formation. He would give the humans 6 hours to think about their situation. Surely, they would surrender when they realized the hopelessness of their position. 5 hours later, Stone's crew detected something odd. Their long-range communications were becoming unstable. At first, it seemed like a minor technical problem. Then their quantum computers started reporting errors. "Sir," his technology officer called out, panic in his voice. "Something's happening to our systems. The computers are forgetting things." "Forgetting? That's impossible," Stone snapped. But even as he spoke, he watched his main display flicker. Ship after ship in his fleet reported similar issues. Their advanced targeting systems were failing. Their navigation computers were losing data. Even their basic communication systems were starting to break down. Stone remembered White's warning to the Council. Humans don't fight wars. They erase the ability to wage them. "Launch the attack now," Stone ordered. But nothing happened. His weapons wouldn't respond. The ship's artificial intelligence, the pride of Darkspine technology, had gone completely silent. Through his failing view screen, Stone watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to drift. No engines, no weapons, no communications. Even the emergency systems were dead or dying. The only things still working were basic life support and simple mechanical controls. A new message appeared on their emergency broadcast channel. Administrator Wilson's voice came through clearly. "Your ships will retain minimal life support and enough power to reach the nearest Darkspine outpost at sublight speed. All weapons, faster than light drives, and advanced technology have been permanently erased. The knowledge to rebuild these systems has also been removed from your databases. You may leave now." Stone stood in the center of his dead bridge, surrounded by dark screens and silent computers. His mighty warship, once the pride of the Darkspine fleet, was now nothing more than a powerless shell drifting in space. They hadn't fired a single shot. They hadn't even seen a human weapon. The humans hadn't fought back. They had simply reached out and erased centuries of technological progress from Stone's fleet in a matter of hours. The real war hadn't even started yet. The emergency meeting of the Darkspine High Command looked nothing like its usual gatherings. Instead of using their advanced holographic chambers, the military leaders sat around an old wooden table, writing on paper with primitive ink pens. The loss of Commander Stone's fleet had only been the beginning. General Reed of Earth's Defense Force watched the Darkspine reaction through basic optical telescopes, the only technology the humans trusted wouldn't be compromised. From his underground command center on Mars, he monitored the unfolding of Operation Silent Strike. Phase 1 is complete, his aide reported, handling a paper printout. The Darkspine have lost all quantum computing capabilities across 3 star systems. Their AI networks are gone. They're falling back to mechanical computers. Reed nodded, studying the large paper map spread across his desk. Tiny markers showed the position of every Darkspine world and base. Red X's marked the systems already affected by the human strike. Begin Phase 2, he ordered. Across Darkspine space, the true extent of humanity's capabilities became clear. Their nanobots, released during the New Eden incident, had spread through the Darkspine fleet's communication networks. These microscopic machines had one purpose: to erase specific technologies and the knowledge of how to create them. In the Darkspine capital city, the Great Archive, their civilization's greatest collection of knowledge, began to change. Digital records of advanced physics disappeared. Technical documents about weapons manufacturing vanished. Even basic engineering principles started to fade from their databanks. Back in the High Command meeting, Admiral Vex of the Darkspine Empire slammed his fist on the wooden table. How are they doing this? We haven't detected a single human ship in our space. An older commander, his armor now decorated with painted marks instead of electronic displays, spoke quietly. They're not attacking our ships or our worlds. They're attacking our knowledge itself. The room fell silent as screens around them flickered and died. One by one, the lights went out, replaced by simple chemical lamps. Outside, the city's magnificent floating buildings began to sink as their anti-gravity systems failed. On Mars, Reed received another paper report. Sir, Phase 2 is complete. All Darkspine military technology above a 21st century Earth level has been neutralized. Their space fleet is grounded. Their weapons are inert. Reed picked up a simple telephone. Earth forces used only the most basic technology when dealing with the Darkspine, ensuring their systems couldn't be turned against them. Begin Phase 3, he ordered. Across Darkspine space, their civilization began to crumble, not through violence or destruction, but through carefully targeted erasure. Their faster-than-light drives stopped working. Their energy shields flickered out. Even their medical technology began to fail, though the humans had carefully left enough knowledge to prevent humanitarian disasters. In the High Command meeting, now lit only by oil lamps, the Darkspine leaders received reports written on paper and delivered by runners. Their mighty empire, which had taken thousands of years to build, was being systematically stripped of its technological advancement. The humans, one commander said, reading the latest report, they've sent another message. It says, "This is not destruction. This is mercy. We could have taken everything." Admiral Vex stood up, his ceremonial armor now just dead weight without its powered systems. How is this mercy? They're destroying our civilization. The older commander shook his head. No, they're teaching us a lesson. They could have bombed our worlds. They could have killed our people. Instead, they're simply removing our ability to threaten anyone ever again. On Mars, Reed received the final confirmation. Phase 3 was complete. The Darkspine Empire, once one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, had been effectively reduced to a pre-space age society. Not a single shot had been fired. Not a single life had been lost. "Send the final message," Reed ordered. Across what remained of Darkspine communication systems, a simple text appeared. "You may keep your empire. You may keep your worlds. But you will build your civilization again from the ground up, this time without the capacity for war. This is humanity's gift to you, a fresh start." The silent strike was complete. The war that never was had ended. The Galactic Council's emergency session was unlike any in its long history. Half the chamber's advanced displays were turned off, and many representatives had disabled their neural interfaces. After seeing what happened to the Darkspine Empire, no one wanted to risk connecting to any complex technology. Admiral Thomas Moore of Earth's Defense Force stood calmly at the speaking platform. Unlike the elaborately dressed council members, he wore a simple black uniform with only a small Earth insignia. No medals, no rank markers, no electronic devices. "You've all seen what happened to the Darkspine Empire," Moore said, his voice carrying through the vast chamber. "They attacked a human colony. We responded. Now they're rebuilding their society from a much simpler time." A council member, their crystalline form glowing with anger, spoke up. "This goes beyond warfare. You've violated every law of civilized conflict. The Darkspine Empire has lost centuries of progress." Moore's expression remained neutral. "They lost the ability to wage war. Nothing more. Their medical knowledge remains intact. Their art, their culture, their history, all preserved. We only removed their capacity to harm others." The council president leaned forward. "Admiral Moore, your actions have terrified every civilization in the galaxy. How can we trust humans won't use this weapon against others?" "Trust?" Moore raised an eyebrow. "You're asking the wrong question. We didn't develop this technology for trust. We developed it to end war itself." He pressed a button, and a simple mechanical projector displayed images of Earth's history. Humanity spent thousands of years fighting itself. We learned that victory in battle means nothing if another war starts a generation later. So we created a way to make war impossible. The chamber fell silent as Moore walked around the platform, making eye contact with various council members. "We don't want your worlds. We don't want your resources. We want peace. Real peace. Not the kind enforced by bigger guns or stronger shields, but peace enforced by the inability to wage war." A gaseous being floated forward. "You speak of peace while wielding the most terrible weapon we've ever seen. How many civilizations will you pacify this way?" Moore smiled slightly. "Only those who attack us. We've shared our borders. We've stated our terms. Stay out of our space, and your civilizations can advance however you wish. Attack us." He let the sentence hang unfinished. The council president stood. "And what of the balance of power? You've effectively destroyed one of the galaxy's strongest military forces." "Balance of power?" Moore shook his head. "That's old thinking. There is no balance needed when one side simply removes the ability to fight. The Darkspine Empire still exists. Its people are healthy, fed, and safe. They're just not a threat anymore." He turned to address the entire chamber. "Humanity is not interested in winning wars. We're interested in ending them permanently. The Darkspine chose to attack us despite warnings. They chose to ignore our mercy. Now they'll spend a few centuries remembering why peace is preferable to war." A new council member spoke up, their voice shaking. "What do you want from us?" "Nothing," Moore replied. "This isn't a negotiation or a threat. It's simply information. Humanity will defend itself, not by fighting wars, but by removing the ability to wage them. Any civilization that attacks us will find themselves taking a very long technological vacation." He gathered his papers. Actual paper, which made several council members shift uncomfortably, and prepared to leave. "We'll maintain diplomatic relations, we'll trade, we'll share cultural exchanges, but if anyone mistakes our lack of traditional weapons for weakness..." He paused at the platform's edge. "Well, Ask the Darkspine Empire how that works out. As more left the chamber, the council erupted into panicked discussions. They had expected humans to be like other species, fighting wars with ships and soldiers. Instead, they had encountered something far more frightening. A civilization that had moved beyond the concept of warfare to something far more absolute. The message was clear. Humanity wouldn't fight wars. They would simply erase the ability to wage them, one civilization at a time, until true peace was achieved. The age of traditional warfare in the galaxy was over. The Galactic Archives, a massive structure of crystal and light, had never been so quiet. Most of its advanced systems were shut down, and researchers used simple tablets to read data. After what happened to the Darkspine Empire, no one wanted to risk connecting to the main network. Dr. Anna Reed, Earth's chief historian, walked through the archive halls with James White, the council observer who had first warned about human capabilities. They were here to explain, not to threaten, but the nervous looks from alien researchers told them their presence alone caused fear. "Here," White said, stopping at a simple display terminal. "We've recovered the Darkspine Empire's last transmission before their systems went dark. You should see this." The screen showed a panicked Darkspine commander. "They're in everything. Our networks, our computers, even our basic systems. But how? When did they?" The recording stopped as their systems failed. Anna smiled sadly. "They never understood. We didn't start when they attacked New Eden. We started the moment they entered human space." She pulled out a paper folder, again, deliberately low-tech, and spread several documents on a nearby table. Humanity learned its lesson through blood and fire. Look at our history. The documents showed Earth's wars. World War I, World War Ia, countless regional conflicts, nuclear standoffs, cyber warfare. Each page told a story of destruction and loss. "We almost destroyed ourselves dozens of times," Anna explained. "Each war taught us something. World War I showed us the horror of industrial warfare. World War II revealed the danger of totalitarian power. The Cold War taught us about mutual destruction." White picked up one of the papers. "But how did this lead to your current methods?" "We realized something fundamental," Anna said. "Winning battles doesn't end wars. Destroying armies doesn't create peace. True peace only comes when war becomes impossible." She walked to a window overlooking the archive's vast collection. "So we developed what we call the Omega Protocol. Instead of building bigger weapons, we created systems that could selectively erase technological capabilities. We learned to target the knowledge itself." "But how?" White asked. "The level of precision is incredible." Anna turned back to the table. "We released microscopic machines into our space decades ago. They're everywhere, dormant, watching, waiting. When a hostile force enters our territory, these machines infiltrate their systems. They learn, adapt, and prepare." She pointed to another document, this one showing the stages of human technological development. "We can choose exactly what level of technology we want an aggressor to retain. Medical knowledge, preserved. Food production, untouched, but anything that can be used for advanced warfare, gone." White stared at the documents. "You're not just erasing their weapons, you're erasing their ability to make weapons." "Exactly," Anna nodded. "The Darkspine Empire didn't lose everything. They lost precisely what we chose for them to lose. They can still care for their people. They can still feed their populations. They just can't build warships or energy weapons anymore." She gathered the papers carefully. "This is humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not peace through superior firepower, but peace through selective technological regression. Any civilization that chooses war with us will find themselves taking a forced vacation to a simpler time." White looked troubled. "The Council fears you'll use this against everyone." Anna shook her head. "We have no interest in controlling other civilizations. We only want peace. If others leave us alone, we leave them alone." It's very simple. She walked to another terminal, showing the current state of the Dark Spine Empire. Their worlds continued to turn. Their people continued to live. They were simply living in a less advanced state. This is mercy, Anna explained. We could have killed them. We could have destroyed their worlds. Instead, we gave them a chance to rebuild, to remember, to learn what we learned. White understood finally. Humans hadn't created a superweapon. They'd created something far more powerful, a way to enforce peace without death, to end wars without destruction. The revelation was spreading across the galaxy. Don't fight humans. They won't kill you. They'll just send you back to your childhood as a civilization, to learn your lessons all over again. In what remained of the Dark Spine Empire's central command, Admiral Vex sat in a room lit by oil lamps. Before him lay two objects, a piece of paper containing humanity's terms, and a simple mechanical clock counting down the final hours. The mighty empire that had conquered 100 worlds now couldn't even power its own Capitol building. How far has the regression spread? He asked his aide, who consulted a hand-drawn map. Total technological failure in 67 systems, the aide reported. We've lost everything beyond basic mechanical technology. Our ships won't fly. Our weapons won't fire. Even our food replicators have stopped working. Vex picked up the paper again. The terms were simple. *1. Acknowledge defeat and surrender all remaining military assets. 2. Accept human supervision of technological redevelopment. 3. Sign a permanent peace treaty. Failure to accept these terms will result in further technological regression to pre-industrial levels. Through the window, Vex could see his once great capital city. The floating platforms had all descended to the ground. The holographic displays were dark. People walked instead of using transport pods. In just 1 week, they had lost 500 years of progress. Send for the High Council, Vex ordered. They need to understand what we're facing. An hour later, the remaining leadership of the Dark Spine Empire gathered in the candlelit chamber. They sat on simple wooden chairs, their once-powered armor now nothing more than heavy metal shells. The humans sent us back to a primitive state, one council member said, his voice bitter. We should fight back. With what? Vex asked quietly. Our mighty fleet can't leave orbit. Our weapons are useless. We can't even communicate between systems without using courier ships. He stood up and walked to a large window. The sun was setting, and without the city's usual lights, true darkness would follow. The humans didn't just destroy our technology. They erased our ability to rebuild it. Our greatest scientists can't remember how quantum drives work. Our engineers have forgotten how to make energy weapons. Another council member slammed his fist on the table. Then we'll learn again. We'll rebuild. In 1,000 years, perhaps, Vex replied. And then what? We challenge them again, and they send us back even further. To the Stone Age next time. The room fell silent. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, counting down the remaining time to decide. They're not conquerors, Vex continued. They don't want our worlds or our resources. They just want us to stop fighting. And they found the perfect way to ensure that. A younger council member spoke up. But our people, how will they survive? The humans were precise in what they took, Vex explained. We still have basic medicine. We can still farm, build houses, and provide for our population. We just can't wage war anymore. He unrolled a star chart on the table. Paper now, not the holographic maps they once used. Look at our empire. Every world still turns. Every city still stands. Our people still live. The humans didn't destroy us. They just grounded us, like parents punishing an aggressive child. The clock ticked on. They had less than an hour left to decide. If we refuse their terms, Vex said, they'll take us back further. Imagine our civilization without even steam power, without basic mechanics. How many of our people would die then? One by one, the council members looked at each other. Their choice was becoming clear. It wasn't really a choice at all. The humans, Vex said quietly, have taught us something our empire never learned in all its years of conquest. True power isn't about destruction. It's about control. They controlled us not by killing our people, but by simply turning off our toys. He picked up a pen, real ink on real paper, and signed the surrender document. We accept their terms, he announced. Let it be recorded that on this day, the Dark Spine Empire chose survival over pride. We will rebuild, not as conquerors, but as a reminder to others. Do not test humanity's patience. They don't fight wars. They simply end them. The last rays of sunlight faded from the sky, and for the first time in centuries, the capital city fell into true darkness. 1 year after the Dark Spine's surrender, the Galactic Council gathered for its annual security review. The chamber looked different now. Many species had abandoned their high-tech displays and neural interfaces, preferring simple mechanical devices. The fear of humanity's capabilities had changed how the galaxy thought about technology. James White stood at the speaking platform one final time, delivering his last report before retirement. Behind him, a mechanical projector showed images of the former Dark Spine Empire. The transformation is complete, White announced. The Dark Spine civilization has stabilized at a pre-spaceflight technology level. Their population is healthy. Their worlds are at peace. And most importantly, they're rebuilding their society with a new understanding. The images showed Dark Spine cities adapting to their simpler existence. Steam engines replaced quantum drives. Mechanical computers replaced AI systems. People walked streets that once held floating vehicles. But the real change, White continued, isn't in their technology. It's in their thinking. He showed a new image, a Dark Spine school, where children learned from books instead of neural downloads. On the wall hung the simple sign, "Remember the lesson of humanity." They're teaching their children about what happened, White explained, not as a story of defeat, but as a lesson about consequences. The Dark Spine Empire is becoming something new, a living warning to the galaxy. The council president spoke up. And what of other aggressive species? We've noticed several empires withdrawing their forces from human borders. White smiled. That's the beauty of humanity's approach. They didn't need to defeat everyone. They just needed to make one perfect example. He switched to a new image, a star map showing military movements across the galaxy. Dozens of species were creating buffer zones around human space, desperately avoiding any possible confrontation. The humans call it enforced peace through demonstrated consequences, White said. The Dark Spine Empire lost 5 centuries of progress because they wouldn't listen to a simple warning. No other civilization wants to risk the same fate, a crystalline being raised its form. But surely some will still try. Some will think they can find a way around human defenses. Perhaps, White nodded. But consider this, humanity hasn't revealed all its capabilities. The Dark Spine Empire lost their advanced technology. What else could humans take? Language? Mathematics? The very concept of warfare itself. No one wants to find out. He showed his final image, Earth's defense fleet. It was surprisingly small, consisting of simple ships with minimal weapons. They didn't need impressive weapons anymore. The mere presence of human vessels now caused advanced warships to retreat. Humanity has changed the rules of warfare forever, White concluded. They showed us that true power isn't about who has the biggest guns. It's about who can most effectively remove the other side's ability to fight. The chamber was silent as White gathered his papers. Then the council president stood. "Observer White," she said formally, "your final recommendation to the council." White looked up at the gathered representatives of 1,000 worlds. Learn from the Dark Spine. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. They don't want to erase anyone's progress. They just want peace. Give them that, and they'll let you advance as far as you want. Threaten them. He let the sentence hang unfinished. Everyone knew the consequence. As White left the chamber for the last time, he heard the council beginning their discussions about a new galactic treaty. The age of traditional warfare was over. Humanity had introduced something far more effective: the threat of enforced technological regression. In the centuries that followed, the galaxy would remember this time as the beginning of the Great Peace. Species focused on development rather than destruction. The Dark Spine Empire slowly rebuilt, this time without its military ambitions, and humanity watched from their borders, ready to send any aggressive civilization back to their childhood. They called it many things: the human peace, the technology war, the great regression. But the truth was simpler. Humanity had taught the galaxy that the best way to end wars was not to fight them, but to simply make them impossible. And the stars were quiet at last.